All right, everybody, welcome to this is our second episode of the Take Makers Show, but this is our first post week one or post week show for the Take Makers. So we're pumped. We just watched a full 7 hours of commercial free football on NFL Red Zone today.
Yes.
Oh, it felt good.
Felt great.
It was
saddle.
literally. Oh, I know. It's like riding a bike. It's literally like riding a bike. Watching NFL Red Zone, it's like you get comfy in your seat and you just listen to Scott Hansen or Andrew Siciliano or whoever it is just take you through all the games. You don't ever miss anything. I love it. It's great. It's the best feeling in the world. Like, I don't know if it's sad to say that, but I feel most alive in my life when I'm sitting down in my couch and watching NFL Red Zone.
Mm-hmm. I didn't really get a sense of normalcy this year up until the Buccaneers had a field goal blocked. It was at that moment that I knew that we had really returned and that things were going, things were going to be okay.
So me and Dan haven't had that yet. So we have the Giants tomorrow night. Once we have the Giants, Once the Giants lose tomorrow night, that's our sense of normalcy. Losing week one, starting off 0-1.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then next week it'll be normal after we start 0-2 when all the fans are like, well, the 2007 team that won the Super Bowl started 0-2, so maybe this year will be just like that. So That's going to be like, we're officially moving back into normal, and it's beautiful and it feels great. But listen, it was a great slate of games today. I just want to say the games today ended up just being absolutely awesome. We're going to go through all of them. We're going to recap them. We're going to give you our unfiltered and unabridged thoughts on all of these games because there were some great ones. So,
you want to start us off?
Yeah, Matt, you ready to get started? Yeah, let's get started. Yeah, cool. My bad. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you guys wanted to build anything up. Get it going. Let's start with the Bears and the Lions game. So, Matt, Lions have a 23-6 lead in the fourth quarter. This game is over, and Mitch Trubisky comes from the dead and leads the Bears to victory. Matt, you saw this game. We kind of all saw this coming once the comeback started because it's the Lions. Matt, what are your thoughts?
So, first and foremost, Mr. Mitch destroying Detroit again. Love to see it. We told everyone pre-show, Mitchell Trubisky destroys the Lions. If you're a fantasy football player, play Mitchell Trubisky. People, why would you play Mitchell Trubisky? He sucks. No, he always kills the Lions, and that's what he did. He did exactly that today. But my immediate thought was, how does Matt Patricia have a job? Like, if I'm a Detroit Lions fan, I'm genuinely upset that they brought him back for another season.
It's absolutely insane to me that that man still has a job. It's absolutely, Bob Quinn, their general manager, shouldn't have a job either. The Lions are a complete disgrace. And they're one of the...
Let me play the devil's advocate right there. Sure. They were one dropped pass from a first-round running back away from taking this game right back. That's how razor-thin the margin is.
It shouldn't even get to that point.
Yeah,
when you have a 23-6 lead and you have a defensive... They went full Lions.
They did, and it's a problem.
They went full Lions.
But that game was not blown by Matt Patricia. If you're going to say anyone blows that game, you got to look at the first-round rookie right there out of Georgia.
I'm going to still blame Matt Patricia, though. You have a 23-6 lead. You're supposed to be a defensive guru, and you can't stop Mitch Trubisky? Are you kidding me?
That was bad luck.
100%.
That was bad luck.
100. I 100% agree with you, Dan. There's no way in this world I'm blaming DeAndre Swift did not blow a
I blame him, too.
A 20-point lead.
I'll blame him too. They both do, but it's mainly on Matt Patricia. You shouldn't even be putting your team in that spot. Close the game out like a professional football team.
But,
fair.
I do think though that DeAndre Swift is going to take a lot of the flack from the Lions fan base for this game, and I'm just saying that it doesn't all fall on him. That a lot had to happen before you got to DeAndre Swift dropping a last-second touchdown pass. You get what I'm saying?
That's fair.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it is. And again, when you're a defensive guru and you can't figure out a way to stop Mitchell Trubisky, you should be fired on the spot. You should be fired immediately. And Lions fans, listen, Lions fans deserve better than this. The people of the great state of Michigan, of where I once was a resident, deserve better than this. And the Detroit Lions, the Fords, the people who own the Lions, sell the team. You suck, and so does your football team. Congratulations.
And another thing I wanted to add is for Chicago, it must feel nice to not have the team have the kicker that missed a field goal. Matt Prater missed a field goal today. Cairo Santos 2 for 2. So Matt Nagy's probably patting himself on the back. He came back. He won this game. He picked the right kicker in the offseason because the kicker went 2 for 2. And you know what?
Yeah.
Mitchell Trubisky showed Matt Nagy why he's the starting quarterback for Chicago, because he can come back against a mediocre team in the fourth quarter and win a football game.
I thought that was about to be like a future freezing cold take there, but the way you tailed that one off was pretty beautiful. That was pretty nice.
You know what? I mean,
let's temper the expectations that I did.
There's another quarterback. There's another quarterback who we'll talk about later that a lot of people want to put in the Hall of Fame. He can't do that. So the fact that Mitchell Trubisky can, good for him.
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Rivers.
And the last thing, the last thing that I want to say, the last thing, Matt, that I would like to say about this Lions game before we move on is that Matthew Stafford deserves so much better than what he has in the Detroit Lions. If that man played for a semi-competent franchise, if you put Matt Stafford on the Colts, he probably has 2 Super Bowls by now.
I don't know.
And by Colts I mean the post Ryan Grigson Colts.
I don't know about him having 2 Super Bowls. With that being said, I do think that Matt Stafford's the kind of quarterback who he would be in that top 10 QB conversation relatively consistently year in and year out if he was on a better football team, because he really does carry a very bad Lions team every single year. He never has any help. So I agree with you to a certain extent. I don't know if he's winning multiple Super Bowls. I think he'd have an opportunity. I think they'd make some playoff runs. Like if you threw him on like Dallas, I think they'd make some playoff runs. But
sure, okay, yeah, that's probably
if he wasn't getting killed every single season. He's one of the Colts did have Andrew Luck.
The Colts did have Andrew Luck, and they still couldn't win anything. And Andrew Luck
that's fair.
Was better.
And he wasn't better than Andrew Luck.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, when it comes down to it, he deserves better. The Lions should be ashamed of themselves. The Fords should be ashamed of themselves. They should sell the team. And that's kind of where I stand with that. And when it comes down to it, it's just another, all my friends, I was texting a lot of them in Michigan today, and they're just all like, same old Lions, same old Lions. It's just a saying up there, and it's always going to happen. Another team, though, let's move on from this game because it was probably the best game of the day just because of the shock value. There was highs, there were lows for that Lions-Bears game. So that's why we wanted to start with that one. Let's shift gears, though, into Billy's Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus New Orleans Saints. Billy, is the hype train dead? What happened?
The hype train is dead. The Tom Brady era was a failure. Abort mission, sell the team. The Glazers should be ashamed. No, look, man, that was a joke. I pretty much anybody who tuned in for the pregame show, this is exactly what I predicted. Hate to toot my own horn, but I'm gonna because look, the Saints came out and did not win the box score battle. They did not dominate on any facet of the ball. They just looked like a better, well-oiled machine than the Buccaneers did. And look, there's talent on paper on the Buccaneers roster, but if Mike Evans and Tom Brady, don't have time to practice together and don't have preseasons, maybe you're only going to get one connection and maybe it's going to be for a touchdown, but it's not going to end up being enough. I just think that it's far, far too early to push any panic buttons or even reach at a panic button or even think about reaching at a panic button for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team.
Have you been on Twitter?
Oh yeah, Twitter's a mess. Twitter's a hot mess. But what else do you expect? Look, man, this is the NFC contending favorites at home week 1 without a preseason. We shouldn't have set our sights so high as to think that that's a guaranteed victory.
So I 100% agree with you that the overreaction is to an extreme with the Buccaneers loss, and we did say this pregame, like the Saints are on like a whole other level than the Bucs, and it's not even so much that the Saints are maybe more talented, because I do think later on in the season these teams will be a lot closer, but the fact that the Saints are returning the same head coach and the same quarterback for this is your 15 that they're together. So the fact that these two have been together for so long, they brought back basically their entire nucleus of players from last year. It didn't make sense for anyone to expect Tampa to go in on the road and beat these guys. Like, it really didn't. And New Orleans just ultimately showed why they are the cream of the crop of the NFC. Like that they really went in there and showed that. And yeah, Drew Brees didn't have the best game, but like you said, they're just a well-oiled machine. Like they know what works, they know what they have to do, and they get it done, and they win football games.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I think the NFL in some ways kind of set the Buccaneers up for failure with this game, and Brady up for failure with this game. And I'm not saying that like, oh, the NFL. But listen, that's just sometimes how the schedule works for teams. Some teams ended up getting screwed. Like for example, the Titans having to go across the country and play at 9:00 local time, to play the Broncos. Like sometimes the schedule just screws over certain teams, and the Bucs just kind of got the short end of the stick this week. If I'm a Bucs fan, I'm not worried. I'm not jumping off the bandwagon yet. Do you need to win next week? Yeah, you probably do, but it's not time to press the panic button. It's definitely not the end of the world if you're a Buccaneers fan at this point. But man, the Saints looked really, really good today.
I just want to throw this in there. The Tom Brady is now on pace to throw more interceptions than Jameis Winston.
Why'd you have to do that? Why'd you have to do that, Matt?
He is on pace to throw 32 interceptions this season. It's math. Don't get mad at me,
It's
Bucs
math.
fans.
Simple math.
It's math. He's on pace to throw 32 interceptions this season. That is more than Jameis Winston. He's actually on pace to throw more pick sixes than Jameis Winston as well. Again, it's just math. Don't get mad at me, Bucs fans.
Words hurt, Matt. Words hurt.
Yeah,
but that's literally
absolutely crazy.
That's literally how Bucs Twitter is reacting right now. Just slow down. It's going to be okay.
Also, Taysom Hill. How many millions of dollars is Sean Payton going to give him to be the quarterback of the future when Drew Brees retires? Even though he's definitely not. But how hard is Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints? How hard are they going to try to force that circle peg in the square hole?
They already did.
Mm-hmm.
He's
already making crazy backup money. He's already
right.
probably the
I
highest
get that.
paid backup in the league.
But does he get a $20 million contract next year when Brees retires? That's my question.
There's no way.
He shouldn't. He shouldn't.
He is under contract next year, though. Is what I'm trying to say. Like he's under.
Yeah, it was 2 years. It's 2 year deal, $21 million. So he's 10.5 a year.
That's still way too much.
Well,
that's a lot.
The thing is that the cap next year for Taysom Hill jumped significantly, so he's actually making like 16 next year. So.
Be interesting to see what happens there. But Taysom Hill, I loved watching him in the game because it's always like, is he going to run it or is he going to like throw it like one out of every 5 times? But yeah. So when it comes down to that, definitely interesting. Michael Thomas probably had the worst game of his career tonight too. So
and you know
Carlton Davis, shout out.
And they still won. So
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like Michael
That's
Thomas,
scary.
Like Bruce Arians logged onto YouTube and Googled the how do you stop a slant route. And he watched those videos in Madden. They figured it out. They knew how to stop the slant route because it works every time. And they totally took away Michael Thomas. It was great.
The things that was killing the Buccaneers were things like motions and like the gadget play and sending the tight end on the wheel when the corner wasn't ready. It was preparedness plays. They didn't beat us with their bread and butter today. So I feel good about that going into Week 9 when we see them the next time.
Yeah, definitely. I think the teams will be in different spots by then for sure. Let's move on to another 4 p.m. game that I want to talk about because this game I counted left 17 points on the board due to just horrendous either coaching or quarterback play. It's the Cardinals versus the 49ers. Man, first thing that comes to my mind with this game, Kyler Murray looks really short this year.
Can I go ahead and make like an overreaction to this game?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you're a 49ers fan, you can cut Jimmy Garoppolo and save $24 million next year.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
I know it's week 1. It's a little bit of an overreaction, but since he has signed that deal, you guys they structured it so they can get out of it relatively easily. And you guys can get out of it next year with literally like $2 million in dead cap. Like just letting you know, because he's really bad.
He's horrible. Matt, it's not even just he's really bad. I mean, he's a bottom 10 starting quarterback in the league. And a hot take, the 49ers, I don't even think this is a hot take actually. The 49ers would be the best team in the NFL if they had just a semi-competent starting quarterback. He's not even semi-competent, Jimmy G. Bingo, put Matthew Stafford on the 49ers. They're easily the best team in football. That's not even an exaggeration. They have a crazy good defense, and Jimmy G continuously holds them back. He had the game-winning touchdown today. He had the game-winning touchdown to Bourne in the back right corner of the end zone, and he completely underthrew him. He doesn't have what it takes in the clutch. And on top of that, even when it's not in the clutch, he stinks. He's a game manager at best. And he's going to hold that team back from so many great things this season and beyond if they stick with him.
If you're San Francisco, like if you're a 49ers fan, you suffered years of Alex Smith being a game manager, which honestly, Alex Smith at his best was probably better than Jimmy Garoppolo. But you had to suffer through years of watching a game manager, I don't want to say hold your team back, because I don't necessarily know if Jimmy G holds them back. I don't necessarily.
He lost them the game today.
He did lose them the game today, but I would say a majority of the time, the Niners don't lose games because of Jimmy G, but he does not win them football games, and that's the issue I have.
Yeah, so I'm gonna play your devil's advocate here, boys, because we already in week 1 we already want the Fords to sell the Lions, and we want to cut Jimmy G.
Well, in my defense with the Fords selling the Lions, I think a lot of people have wanted that for 3 decades. But yes, continue.
That's fair, leaning on that one. But okay, so if we're gonna dock Jimmy G for the 1 touchdown, are we not? Why can't we dock DeAndre Swift for the same thing against the Lions? We're gonna have
DeAndre Swift isn't making $140 million. DeAndre Swift wasn't touted the next big thing. DeAndre Swift isn't, completely overrated by the media.
I also want to.
Jimmy G's bad.
And I also think to a certain extent, DeAndre Swift made one bad play. We haven't seen enough from DeAndre Swift to make a full judgment. I will say that hurts. And with Matt Patricia, not to jump back to the Lions, but with the way Matt Patricia is a head coach, it would not surprise me if DeAndre Swift is in the doghouse for a while.
Yeah,
since they had Adrian Peterson.
Matt Patricia is going to run Adrian Peterson 25 times next week and completely neglect his 2 young running backs that he has. Exactly.
But
playing Kerryon Johnson even if he's hurt.
The Jimmy G is the face of the 49ers. He is supposed to be the guy. And it gets to a point where it's okay, we saw him play last year. We saw a game this year. Yeah, he didn't have a lot of weapons, but I almost kind of think of this as if you're a Niners fan, you got to see whether or not Jimmy G made the guys around him better. Because he didn't have a lot of good players with him. And after he almost killed George Kittle, he didn't really have anyone.
Which he did try to do today. He literally tried to kill his best receiving option. It's incredible. And I'm sorry I'm mad about that, but I have George Kittle in my Dynasty League, so.
There it is.
I got really nervous for a little bit. I'm a little bit on tilt because of him, and then on top of that, I'm just tired of hearing about how good he is. We joke around and we say he's Italian Dak. He's worse than Dak. He's a bottom 10 starter in the NFL. He's a bottom 10 starter in the NFL, and he's got one of the best coaches coaching him. Dude, if this guy had Adam Gase as his head coach, he would have been out of the league after year 2. He sucks.
Let me go through the number 1 receiving targets for the 49ers today. We had Raheem Mostert at 95 yards, George Kittle at 44 yards, Kyle Juszczyk at 41 yards. And there's a wide receiver, Kendrick Bourne, at 2 receptions for 34 yards. I get that they've tried to give him a little bit of help, but what kind of wide receiver core is that? Putting it all on poor Jimmy.
All his wide receivers are hurt. So, but this is kind of why I'm saying that if you're a Niners fan, this is your opportunity with all the good players out. This was your opportunity to see what can Jimmy Garoppolo offer me, right? Because a true franchise quarterback like a Matthew Stafford can take the crap and mold it and make it look good. And
I've watched Eli Manning win games with Ramses Barden as the number 1 receiver. None of you listening to this even know who Ramses Barden is.
I'm proud to not know who Ramses Barden is.
Yeah.
So when you kind of look at Jimmy Garoppolo and you see what he did today with the lack of talent around him, it kind of shows that the talent around him is what makes him. So he is going to be as good as the guys you put around him, which is why they were very good last year, because they were very talented. And this again. we are the take makers. We make a lot of hot takes. That's what we do. But this 49ers team still has all the potential in the world to be a good team. They could still be a contender in the NFC. Like, I don't think this is like the 49ers are done or anything like that. But I do think that if you're a 49ers fan, that thought always has to be in the back of your head of what could this team be like if we had someone else?
That's fair. You got to be careful you don't get yourself into purgatory. The NFL is rough because you got to be either super good or super bad, and I think Jimmy G's right in that territory of not being good enough or bad enough to get you.
He's absolute purgatory.
That's fair.
And it's a tough pill to swallow, but if you are the 49ers and you get a quarterback, you're a Super Bowl contender every year with how that team's built. Let's move along to the Eagles versus Washington game as well, because you want to talk about another team that's going to be tilting and another quarterback who, honestly, this is more of a Matt Stafford type situation, I think, what the Eagles are doing with Wentz, because they basically were like, just come in and kill our quarterback. But the Eagles had one of the worst losses of the week, too. They blew a 17-0 lead. Washington scored 27 unanswered points, and the football team started off their first ever team name, just called the football team, starts off 1-0. Matt, what's the 401 on this one?
So when I look at this, if you're an Eagles fan, like, Eagles fans are already burning jerseys. Relax. Relax. Andre Dillard was done for the year. Brandon Brooks was done for the year. Lane Johnson didn't suit up today. You guys are missing wide receivers. You guys aren't healthy. You're not healthy. Like, and you're playing against a Washington team that has like 4 first-round picks on their defensive line, which is insane. Like, they're absolutely phenomenal on their defensive line. Like, this was a matchup made for hell, and you watched Carson Wentz run around for his life the entire game. Like, it's going to be okay. You guys are going to get healthier. It will be all right. Now, with that being said, I don't have the Eagles as, like, contending for the NFC or anything like that. I kind of have them in the middle of the pack. They might push for a wild card spot. But I will say this. This is a game if you're an Eagles fan, that kind of hurts because, like, in December, if you're tied with Dallas for the division, Dallas beats Washington twice and you guys didn't, and this is the reason why you guys don't win the division, that's going to suck. Because this could come and bite you in the ass. But I don't think this is panic button time for Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm exactly with you. We're going to go down depth charts again. You're missing running back 1. Your number 1 receiving target was really Dallas Goedert today for 101 yards. Look, man, this is not a full-strength Philadelphia squad, and you should just be happy that you came out literally alive with Carson Wentz not waking up, breaking his arms, and then going to bed breaking his legs every single day. Is it embarrassing to lose to a team called the football team?
Yes.
Yes. That's incredibly embarrassing.
Super embarrassing.
They get to keep the capital "the" for another week. I think when they lose a first time, that's when they have to go down to actually like the lowercase, the football team. But for now, they are the football team. And look, just don't hit the panic button. Don't hit the panic button yet, Philadelphia fans. You live to see another day.
Yeah, I'm with you guys, but listen, if they don't find a way to at least mitigate their poor offensive line, Carson Wentz is going to be killed by week 5.
And
3 out of 5 starters.
And that is the issue if you're Philadelphia, right? Like, you're going to have to find ways to relieve some of the pressure off Carson Wentz. And if you don't, like, things are going to very quickly go downhill. Like, very.
I mean, he gets hurt when they have their good offensive line. Like, he gets hurt. But he's not going to last more than 5 weeks if they don't fix it.
This is another team that, Philadelphia is in position to where they could potentially compete for something, and they go and they spend a second-round pick on Jalen Hurts. So, like, it's poor asset management to a certain extent in that way. But you almost did this to yourself. I hate to say it, but you almost kind of did. But yeah, I think most teams don't expect to be out three of their offensive linemen. I know 2 of them are done for the year, but I don't think they expect to also be without Lane Johnson. And then obviously Jalen Reagor and stuff. I don't think he was 100%. Even though I think he did have a decent game. He had the 1 big catch, but he was for the most.
But that's it.
Yeah, he was for the most part just a decoy. So.
And then guess what? He was second in yards too for the Eagles on that 1 catch.
Another quick note about this game: Chase Young is really freaking good.
Oh yeah.
Like he
Good
is
at
as
football.
advertised. To all the Giants fans who we had to hear us say that, like, oh, we don't know how good he's going to be. Listen, if you watch just a couple snaps of that Washington Eagles game today, Chase Young has Hall of Fame potential. That's not even a hot take. He legitimately has Hall of Fame potential.
And I know what a lot of you are going to think, right? You literally just said the Eagles were playing an all backup offensive line, but to a certain extent, it's like, okay, he demolished the all backup offensive line. Like he did exactly what he was supposed to do.
No
What are you gonna
preseason
do?
games.
Yeah, what else
He's
are you
a
gonna do?
brand new rookie. Like he's going to be phenomenal.
So like it's not like he went out there. I know on the stat sheet he had like 1.5 sacks and a fumble, but it goes beyond that. It's
That's it.
How many pressures does the guy have? Like he was consistently harassing Carson Wentz. He truly was the reason why there was a consistent harassment on Carson Wentz. Like it was him. He is the alpha pass rusher.
He's on pace for 24 sacks there, Matt. There you go.
Exactly.
Michael Strahan's
LT
record.
pace.
Look out.
LT pace, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move along to a game that was just an absolute track meet. The Packers and the Vikings. That game, for whatever reason, the Vikings stadium with no fans in it just felt really empty when I was watching it. I don't know why. That felt more empty than any other game. I don't know why that was, but it just looked like just a big glass house that was just totally empty, and it just made me feel really weird.
What's gonna feel really weird is if I don't know how many fans Green Bay is supposed to have off the top of my head.
I don't think any for their first two games.
But like it's gonna feel weird when Green Bay scores a touchdown and there's no Lambeau leaping. So for me, I wasn't really thinking about that yet because the entire time I was like, well, they're on the road, they're not gonna Lambeau leap.
I didn't even think about that.
But that to me is when things are going to feel empty. But I will say, if you're like the casual fan, or you know this game wasn't on in your area, so you didn't see this game, maybe you don't have Red Zone. The score on this game, 43-34. I know it was that's 9 points, so it's a lot. But the game, the margin was a lot wider than 9 points. Like
the
Green
Packers
Bay
they annihilated them. Yeah, it was
Yes.
it was a complete obliteration.
Like the Minnesota Vikings truly looked like a team that was starting 3 new corners that have never played together before. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what they looked like. And we said pregame, hey, Green Bay's in a really good spot. The Vikings have literally a brand new cornerback room. And Devontae Adams was like, yeah, you guys do.
What do you have? 14 catches today, Devontae Adams?
14 for 156 and 2 tutties.
14 for 156 and 2 tutters.
Heck of a PPR day.
Oof. And Valdez Scantling had that catch too down. No, Matt, that's your boy, USF boy,
Yep.
Valdez Scantling.
Sir.
Marcus
Yes.
Valdez Scantling. So, I mean, yeah, and Aaron Rodgers is playing with a vengeance. He wants Drew Love, or excuse me, not Drew Love. I just mixed Drew Lock and Jordan Love. He wants Jordan Love to have to sit on the bench until he's 50 years old.
Spitefully.
And the Packers looked like the Packers of old today. It was really fun to watch.
Literally, if you're Aaron Rodgers, you literally want to do what Brady did to Garoppolo. Like you literally want to make them get rid of the guy they drafted to replace you. For
below value.
For below value. Well, honestly, the Patriots second round pick.
Yeah. It might have been for value. I mean, I think it could be different because I think we're seeing and we'll talk about the Patriots game in a second. And if you want, we can kind of just shift gears to that because listen, I don't really think how the Packers game ended up was a shock to us because again, we kind of called it in the pregame show today where it's like a lot of new pieces on that defense for Minnesota, going to take a little bit to gel. It was just a really tough matchup to deal with, a brand new defense in a lot of spots. But anything else to add there, Matt?
I mean, again, this is another team, and a lot of teams are in these situations. I feel like this week because everyone likes to overreact after week one. If you're Minnesota, don't press the panic button. Like if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, it's not time to press the panic button. It's gonna be okay.
Not yet.
Like you're playing a Green Bay team who has one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, one of the best wide receivers in football. Let your defense, because you brought in a lot of new starters. Your defense is going to need time to gel. So you guys are going to figure it out. Down the road, you guys will end up being better. It's just, again, this was just a really bad week one matchup for a defense that's fairly new. It's a fairly new system to a lot of these guys.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is going to be if you're a Packers fan, look, you got the win. Good job, GG. But realize I think you're about one Devontae Adams twisted ankle away from being a normal team. I really think that's the superstar that makes that whole team work on offense, gives that defense the opportunity to play with leads instead of playing from behind. If he's off the field and you're keying in on Aaron Jones and, really it's Valdez Scantling and Alan Lazard on the outside, I don't think anybody's terrified of playing the Packers.
And I mean,
we
did see that last year, and we did see that it didn't change how they played offensively, and Rodgers did struggle. So,
Yep, for sure. All right, let's move on to that Patriots game that we were talking about earlier, because I don't think I've ever seen, and this shouldn't surprise anybody, but the New England/Boston fans, they think that they're going to win the Super Bowl because Cam Newton, Cam had a good game. I'm not saying Cam didn't have a good game, but Cam had a good game against a very, very bad football team, and I'm pretty sure every single New England Patriots fan is like, the dynasty's still on, and I cannot stand it. I can't wait until they get obliterated next week by Seattle.
So
Jared Stidham didn't dress, by the way.
I know. He didn't.
Nope.
Here's my question, right? And I watched this game. I saw a lot of this game because it was on Red Zone quite a bit because of Cam Newton. Is what New England did sustainable over 16 games? Because I don't
know.
And again, it's one of those things where Belichick's the type of coach where this could have just been the game plan for this game. We're just gonna run the ball a lot with Cam. We're gonna limit the amount of throws. We're gonna control the clock, and we're gonna win. That could have just been this game's game plan. But if this is what and I don't necessarily think this is the plan. So if you're a Patriots fan, don't get mad at me. I don't necessarily think that every week's going to be like this. I think that this might have been this game. But I don't necessarily think running Cam Newton 15 times a game is sustainable over the course of a year. It's not. He's not going to be able to handle that.
There's your key stat right there. I'm glad you exactly hit the nail on the head, Matt. He had 15 carries and he had 15 completed passes. If that's going to be your remedy for Cam Newton going into a 16-game football season, good luck, because I hope you like Brian Hoyer.
I mean, you're not wrong.
It's very true. But a lot of Patriots fans think, and Caleb is one of them, that Brian Hoyer could win a Super Bowl with them. And I don't see it. It's Brian Hoyer, man. I don't know. I think New England, again, it's overreaction Monday, and I know some people listening will be like, well, Dan, you've been overreacting the entire show, but I don't really think I have been. Matt Patricia should be fired. Jimmy G does stink. I've been saying these things for this entire offseason, if you've been listening, and when it comes down to it, the Patriots, I still think they end up 8-8, 9-7, 10-6, somewhere in that range. They're not a Super Bowl contender. This is not a team that's going to win the Super Bowl.
And again, they beat the Dolphins.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. They beat the Ryan Fitzpatrick-led Dolphins.
And I think if you're Bill Belichick, you kind of know, okay, we're going to, I'm going to scheme a very good defense because the defense the Patriots defense looked great. I'm going to scheme against the Dolphins, but I know that I'm going to be able to scheme a good defense against this offense. I know that I'm going to be able to get Ryan Fitzpatrick to turn the ball over, and because I'm going to be able to do those things, I'm just going to play it safer on the ball a lot because I feel like that's kind of what.
Fair.
I mean, it was like a 60-40 split between running and passing. They ran the ball significantly more than they passed the ball. Maybe 65.
They absolutely did.
I think it's more like 65-35. But I think that's kind of was the game plan. They ran the ball heavily because they knew that their defense was going to be able to hold up. So this really wasn't the true test to see if the Patriots still can be a true contender.
Yeah, it wasn't, but the Patriots fans everywhere, they're going to wake up tomorrow with their big arrogant smirks on their face and think that this team could make a run. And I'm just here to tell you, I'm here to rain on your parade. I'm here to rain on your parade. That's why I'm here. That's why I live. So, at the end of the day, good win for them today. They played a great game today, but you're right. Running 15 times with Newton is not sustainable. Let's move along here because we had a classic game today. And by classic, I mean, it's almost like, how they say the Masters golf tournament is like a tradition unlike any other? Well, Phillip Rivers throwing an interception down one score late in the game is like the Masters in the sense that it is a tradition unlike any other. It happens at least 4 times per season, I feel like. And it's week 1, and we already got it. And it was probably the most normal I felt since February of this year.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
as soon as Jacksonville went up, I think we all like immediately messaged each other and was like, "This is gonna happen." Like we
So
are
Rivers down one score late.
Like we're in the witching hour. Phil Rivers is down one score late. Like this is must-watch TV. Like this is like on a Tuesday morning. This is why I wake up. Like I wake up dreaming of this moment on Sunday. Like truly, this is like the reason why I power through the week is to watch Philip Rivers blow a game. Like that's the reason why I wake up. It's great. This is it. Like with everything. This oh man, I can't even talk. It made me so happy to watch.
I'm exactly with you because the Bucks being in the 4 o'clock window, that being in the 1 o'clock window was my first moment of like recollection of a football memory. Seeing Philip Rivers throw 46 passes in a football game and still come out just barely losing, firing every last bullet from that awkward arm slot to the very end. You're right. It felt very nice seeing that.
Yeah, it was just such a, it's almost like it's just a comfort at this point seeing it. It's almost like, just turning on like your favorite song and just listening to it and chilling like on a Sunday night or whatever. I mean, Philip Rivers, I didn't think he had a bad game, but it's the typical thing with Philip Rivers where he could have a good game, but if he's down one score late, he's going to throw a pick. It's going to be hilarious. And I mean, listen, if you're the Colts, you were talking about the Eagles earlier, Matt, with if they missed the playoffs by a game due to that week 1. If you're the Colts and you end up missing the playoffs by a game, this is one you're going to really be kicking yourself for because that absolutely could not happen, man. That was just horrible. And props to the Jaguars. Gardner Minshew, 19 for 20 tonight.
Yeah.
Gardner Minshew doesn't get enough credit for just how accurate he really is. Like he was accurate all last season as well. And a lot of people have kind of penciled Gardner Minshew in as like a placeholder in Jacksonville. And I think that Gardner Minshew may play, Jacksonville out of the ability to draft like a Trevor Lawrence or a Justin Fields because I think he is good enough to play out of the bad spots. I don't necessarily know if he's good enough to push them into the playoffs, but I do think he's good enough to kind of put them in that purgatory range.
Yeah, and yes and no. I don't want to listen. I like Gardner, but I still think that the rest of the team is so bad around him, and I ultimately think that when it comes down to it, it was still Philip Rivers down one score late, and I think that a lot of their success could almost just be chalked up to fate at this point. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the success today, it's fate. It was, It was the man upstairs throwing us a bone and saying, I'm going to give you something. 2020 has been a tough year. I'm going to give you something that's going to bring your heart with joy.
Yes and no. Like
I still think the Jags are a 4-win team at best.
There it is.
This is what I will say. Okay, and I am a Gardner Minshew homer. Like I love Gardner Minshew. I think everyone does. That Colts defense, especially with their pass rush, like they're not. I'm not going to say they're fantastic, but they're not bad. Like obviously their secondary is not fantastic, but the Colts have a decent pass rush. For Minshew to go out there and go 19 of 20, like he had a really impressive day.
3 touchdowns. They were short, only 173 yards, but 19 and 23 touchdowns is nothing to sneeze at.
Nope. This is why I'm saying Jacksonville to play themselves out of Lawrence and Fields maybe only has to win like 4 or 5 games because there may be teams that are worse.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
So he's going to be the Fitzpatrick. He's going to be like Fitzpatrick, where he played them out of getting the number 1 out of Burrow territory. Even though they were originally tanking for Tua, Fitzpatrick played them out of Burrow territory and got them to I think that Gardner Minshew is going to take them out of Lawrence territory.
If the 49ers had Gardner Minshew today, they're 1-0.
That is true.
Ooh.
That is true.
Ooh.
So that's all I'll say about that. All right. Cool.
I think the other fun
game. That was a fun game.
It was a fun game. The other fun thing to talk about is, I do a lot of fantasy. I talk a lot of fantasy. We spent all summer trying to talk about Marlon Mack versus Jonathan Taylor. And I mean, that was one of the hottest topics. One of the hottest topics of the season of the fantasy football offseason was Marlon Mack versus Jonathan Taylor when Jonathan Taylor would officially become the lead back. And Marlon Mack seems like he tore his Achilles. So Jonathan Taylor's already vaulted into the top ball carrier. And then Naheem Hines was like, I got this.
Yeah.
I'm going to score touchdowns.
Yeah, he was the guy all day. He was like the number one option all day. It felt like Phillip Rivers loves those pass catching backs. Like, just look at Austin Eckler, for example. So that's definitely interesting. All right, let's move it along here. Seahawks and Falcons, Mr. Unlimited. Mr. Unlimited. Russell Wilson was unchained today.
He was unlimited.
Pete Carroll finally realized that he has a top 2 quarterback in the NFL.
Unlimited.
Dan, when I wrote my notes, I literally wrote Russell Wilson is unleashed today. Literally thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah.
They finally were like, we're not just going to run the ball, 40 times. We're going to let Russell Wilson throw the ball 35 times. No one on Seattle had more than 7 carries. No one on Seattle with more than 7 carries.
Which is a very positive step for that team. Like, if they realize, because my prediction on them missing the playoffs this year was based on them just continuing to spit in the face of analytics and just run the football on first and second down when they have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Like, if they do that and they let Russell Wilson cook, if you will, they're going to be good this year.
Also, the oft-injured Chris Carson, many, including me, who have in their fantasy leagues, pegs as the running back 1, only getting 6 carries instead of 7. It's not that he's the lesser option in that offense, is I think that Seattle's playing it smart and not, giving him a crazy workload of carries at the beginning of the year so that they could get him killed like the Patriots may or may not be doing with Cam Newton. He had more than twice the number of carries. Cam Newton had more than twice the number of carries that Chris Carson had today. So think about that just for perspective.
I also think it was one of those situations where, Seattle just didn't run a lot of plays because they didn't need to. They didn't. They ran 58 plays. Atlanta ran 77. So Atlanta ran the ball, had the ball, a lot more than Seattle did. Seattle was like, we're gonna take a big lead, which is exactly what they did. And they just kind of protected the lead, and they kept adding to it because it was big play after big play after big play. Because that Atlanta defense, even though Dan Quinn is a defensive head coach,
former Seattle,
Atlanta does not have a defense, and they have not had a defense for years.
Ever.
Dan Quinn continues to be able to keep his job. Makes no sense.
They need to launch him into the sun. That's the only way out for them. The fact that launch him into the sun. The fact that Dan Quinn still has a job. There's 40 million unemployed Americans or whatever right now because of COVID and all that stuff. The fact that Dan Quinn still has a job, and there's probably 40 million people that would do a better job than Dan Quinn at running a defense. He's that bad. Now that's a hot take, and obviously I'm being sarcastic. But Dan Quinn is a horrible football coach. They should have fired him when they started 1-7. The fact that Arthur Blank didn't have the guts to do it, man, that's just – the Falcons could be good. That offense is good, but man, oh man, that defense is going to be a huge liability.
Another thing I think it's going to be really fun to watch, and if you guys, if you didn't realize this already, you probably should have because he was fantastic last year. Welcome Calvin Ridley into, announcing yourself as a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL because you are. In terms of talent, you are. You are a fantastic route runner. You are truly
a good route
top
runner.
10 talent at wide receiver. Yeah, you have Julio Jones there. So I don't know if
he is not. Yeah,
he might not produce like a top 10 wide receiver, but the Falcons have 2 amazing wide receivers in Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. By far the best duo in the league. Sorry, Mike Evans and Chris
whoa,
Godwin.
Okay, yeah. See, I was going to say if you want to,
but Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones are better.
If you want to enter the chat for best wide receiver duos, I'm okay with that, but I'm not ready to crown really a top 10 receiver quite yet. Is he talented? Yes. Like I said, top 2 receiver. Is there a single team in the league ever who would consider prioritizing Calvin Ridley over Julio Jones? A single play? I don't think so.
No,
I don't think that's happening.
No chance.
But I will say that Calvin Ridley on probably 25 other teams is the number 1 wide receiver. Probably 25.
All right. When we get back on Wednesday on the next podcast, I'm going to break down how many teams I would have Calvin Ridley as the one receiver for. I'll get back to you on that one because that's a good one.
I like that. Last note on this game I wrote down was DK Metcalf's going to get like $100 million contract because he could run straight really fast.
And he did.
He does it very well.
He's really good at running straight. He's really good at it.
And
he's
really good at running straight very fast.
And you know what, though, Dan? A lot of times when you have these big wide receivers that run straight really fast, they can't catch. He can catch. So like,
no, he can. He's got hands.
He literally is exactly what you want in that vertical threat. He can run. He's big and he runs straight really fast, and he actually has hands.
Yeah.
So credit.
And he's physical too. Not just like a speedy glass cannon out there who can get pushed around and moved off the route. He's huge too. He's pushing DBs off of him.
Oh yeah,
so,
for sure.
So credit DK Metcalf for that. Genetics.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. This is another game where the head coach of this team needs to be launched in the sun. Adam Gase, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you for ruining Sam Darnold. I hate you for making Sam Darnold look like he stinks at football and having all these stupid fans on Twitter saying that Sam Darnold stinks when it's you ruining him. Adam Gase, I hate you. You suck.
So what did Adam Gase do today, Dad? Adam Gase, who has Le'Veon Bell. And Le'Veon Bell, I realize, is not Le'Veon Bell of old, but he's still good.
No.
Decided to split carries between Le'Veon Bell and Frank Gore, and I realized it was just 6 and
Which
6.
you called that, by the way.
It was just 6 carries and 6 carries. But that's
6 and 6 though.
That's what he decided to do, and it truly just shows how bad Adam Gase is at managing an offense. Like he gets so much credit because of Peyton Manning and what he did with Peyton Manning, and we got to stop that. Like we have to stop it. Like. Peyton Manning was good because it was Peyton freaking Manning.
It was Peyton Manning.
He was
basically the offensive coordinator to Peyton Manning. Like, oh man, Adam Gase stinks. And the Jets, like, okay, the Jets are a bad organization and bad teams stay bad, but like this is bad even for them.
So, to switch off the Jets real quick, while I'm watching this game, does anyone have a handle on Josh Allen?
I thought I did.
The Jekyll and Hyde.
Because if I go and I look at his box score, you're like, oh man, Josh Allen finally got over 300 yards. Finally got over 300 yards passing.
First time in his whole career, by the way.
First time in his
33-46. It's a good box score, right?
It's a great box score. It is against the Jets. But you watch Josh Allen play, and he just makes these plays, and you're like, what? Like the second fumble. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why?
They looked like Madden fumbles. They looked like when you try to run with the quarterback on Madden and don't slide. Yeah. That's exactly what it looked like.
And this is another game where it was 27-17, obviously double-digit win for the Bills. This game, the Bills should have won by like 20, but like Josh Allen just put him in some really bad spots, especially in that around the.
And on top of that. On top of that, though, too, Matt, like there's just some plays, and he does it every game where it's like his controller just disconnects, and he misses just somebody wide open, throws it 15 yards above their head.
The end zone one was painful.
It's crazy. And there's times where he makes these throws that only he can make because he's got such a good strong arm, and he sometimes fits it into these really narrow windows, and other times the guy could be 50, nobody within 15 yards of him, and he completely misses. So he's a really tough guy to get a handle on. I don't really know what to say about him.
I'm kind of we talk. People already. This isn't like a hot take. Like I'm kind of already I just kind of want to accept the fact that he's maybe just Cam Newton. Like we're never going to get a handle on him.
Yeah.
He's just
that. You want to look at the box score where he also had 14 carries today, more than Singletary and Moss, who split it at 9. I was all excited about seeing how the backfield shook out. It was the quarterback being in the backfield the whole time, just like Cam Newton. You're going to get him killed, and he's not even making good decisions when he's running the ball.
The only difference is Josh Allen is big and young, so I think his body can handle the heavy carry usage right now. I mean, further down the line, maybe not. But
yeah, because Cam used to be big and young too, but it caught up
when he gets
Cam
hurt
really quickly, man.
So when Josh Allen gets hurt, are you predicting that he then goes to the Patriots after not getting signed by anyone else in the league? Is that the level of foresight you're working with right now?
I don't know about that, but I mean, it's just like I watched Josh Allen play football, and he does things, and I'm just like, and as a Bills fan, Bills are 100% bought in on him. Bills fans, I don't even know if you guys see those plays. You guys probably blame someone else. But I watch him play, and I'm just like, "What are you doing? Why? Like, what caused you to think that was the right decision to make?" But then he makes other plays, and I'm like, "Holy crap, you're good!" And I'm struggling to find the handle with him because I don't know yet if I want to call him a franchise quarterback. I don't know what to do with him. I don't know what to do with him.
A lot of Jameis in that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to do with him either. It is really just a really questionable And he's a really difficult guy to read, man. He's a really difficult guy to read. All right, let's go. We got 3 games left to go over. And I think a couple of these we're going to go over really quickly. Let's jump to the Browns and Ravens because Lamar Jackson, confirmed, still looked really good at football today.
Good at football, indeed.
Oh,
I mean,
1,000%.
Oh, and Baker Mayfield still sucks.
Yeah, this was a heck of a week for the Browns to try to prove that they're actually not a tire fire because they did a really, really poor job of convincing everybody otherwise this week.
What?
Yeah.
And I realize it's week 1 with a new head coach, but what changed? Like you had a whole offseason.
Nothing.
What changed?
Not a change.
I honest to God, I think a large part of it is the fact that just Baker Mayfield, he wasn't the right choice. He wasn't the number 1 pick. He wasn't the right choice. He's not it. Like Baker Mayfield doesn't have it. Like Josh Allen, you could say whatever you want, Josh Allen, about his inaccuracies and stuff like that, but he has it. Like there's an it factor that he has. Baker Mayfield just doesn't have it. He just doesn't have it.
He doesn't have it. You even notice like with Joe Burrow today, like Joe Burrow had it. Like he has it. There's something about Joe Burrow. But I feel like Baker Mayfield is just like the all-talk version of Joe Burrow. Like that's just what he reminds me of. He's the all-talk version of Joe Burrow. And he talks a big game, but he never backs it up. And he's so bad at football, it's disgusting. And I saw a tweet today that was talking about how Odell Beckham said that the Giants sent him to Cleveland to die, and I'm beginning to think that Odell Beckham is right about that because there's no chance that Odell or any receiver in that offense could be successful with that horrible quarterback throwing them the football.
And it goes beyond, like, you can't even sit here and say, well, like Jimmy G, at least, like, you know, if you're a Niners fan, you could throw out well, he didn't really have any help. All his receivers are dead. Like, Baker Mayfield has Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Austin Hooper, David Njoku, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry. There is talent. They spent, you know, a first-round pick on Jedrick Wills. I think he left the game for a little bit today. They have Jock Coughlin. Like, there is talent on this offense, but it's a total dumpster fire because the quarterback is a dumpster fire.
Yeah, they ran the ball effectively today. Kareem Hunt, 13 carries at 5.5 a pop. Nick Chubb, 10 carries at 6 a pop. I don't know exactly how many of those were garbage time because it looks like this whole game was just garbage time by the looks of it. But you're right. You got Odell Beckham at 3 catches and 22 yards and Hooper at 2 catches, 15 yards. That's a whole lot of money for 37 yards, you guys. It's not going to cut it in this division with that talented team, the Baltimore Ravens, sitting atop.
Yeah, not at all. And you know what? But again, that's on. And John Dorsey's obviously not the GM there anymore. But it was a bad draft pick. And I know it might be early to say that, but it's like Baker, at least through what we saw today, has shown no improvement based off of what the weaknesses were last year. So if you're a Browns fan, you're in for another long one. And I just don't see how this season goes any better. So.
Colin Cowherd is having himself a day right now, I bet.
Yeah, Colin Cowherd tomorrow. Oh, man.
It's going to be insufferable.
It's going to be crazy. All right, let's talk about the Raiders and the Panthers really quickly. The main note, I had 2 notes from this game. Number 1, John Gruden needs hair plugs, or he needs to just completely shave his head bald because it's getting really, really thin up there. And he was all sweaty today, and, like, his hair was just going, and his hair is really thin. And Gruden, it's either time to just take the Bic and shave your head, or invest in some hair plugs, man. You have $100 million.
Even go
and also
Urlacher
Christian McCaffrey, I feel like barely did anything today. Yeah, get us like he used to be the Corona sponsor, the beer Corona sponsor.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and get a sponsorship with Bic or something like that. So yeah, there you go. And then the other note I had was Christian McCaffrey felt like he wasn't even very dominant today, and he had 25 fantasy points.
Yeah, over 100 yards, like 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's like, and you barely noticed it.
But
so
the one thing I wanted to bring up is you literally are paying Christian McCaffrey $16 million a year, and on 4th and 1 when the game on the line, you give the ball to I think the guy's name's Alex Arma. Like who?
Yeah.
Like who?
I know.
And nothing against you, man. Like. I'm sure you're listening, you know, because he's definitely listening.
Yeah, we got a lot of Alex Arma stands on the pod.
But you are a fullback, and your job is to make the $16 million man's job easier. Give the football to Christian McCaffrey. What are you doing? And that's on Matt Rule. That is on Matt Rule.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's a bad call.
Getting too cute. He's getting way too cute with it. Any other notes from this game? Because I actually picked the Panthers. I was the only one. And the Raiders definitely won. It was a shootout. But
if you guys listen,
Henry Ruggs looked good too, I guess.
Ruggs got hurt.
Yeah, he did get hurt. But before he got hurt, he looked good.
We do the fantasy show every morning. Normally starts at like 10:30. We told you guys to play Josh Jacobs today in DFS. Just saying.
3 tutters.
3 tutters.
3 tutters. All right. Last game of the day. And this was I'll just title this one the Joe Burrow Welcome to Cincinnati. Like, this is it. This is what it is to be a Bengal.
You made it.
Drive your team down the field. Have your wide receiver, who AJ Green did definitely push off, and I love AJ Green. I'm not trying to throw AJ Green under the bus, but he completely pushed off for would have been the go-ahead touchdown, and then have your kicker shank a chip shot. Welcome to Cincinnati, Joe Burrow. Congratulations.
Doesn't get any better.
It really doesn't.
Skyline chili, baby.
Skyline chili.
There was a reason why this game was at 4:05.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, these teams,
it lived up to the hype.
These two teams are really bad. Like, they wanted you to forget that this game started. Like, these two teams are really bad.
Yeah.
And I realize that Joe Burrow has all the potential in the world. I really liked what he showed today. I thought he played a very good game, especially for no preseason action. This was truly his first taste of NFL action. And I realized that Los Angeles isn't the greatest team in the world, but he did show up really well, and he showed up when it mattered. He did put him in a position to at least bring the game into overtime. So I kind of wanted to do a little thing with Randy Bullock. Do you think he was hurt, or do you think he is injured? And by hurt, I mean, do you think he's taking it?
Listen, I don't know, and I don't want to say either way because I don't want to be that guy in case he actually really was hurt. I would do the same thing. If I shanked a chip shot field goal like that, I would be like, oh, yeah, nope, my hammy just... yeah, no preseason, man. It's not like I would do the same thing because they should be going to OT right now, or they should have been going to OT. And man, you can't that's just Cincinnati in a nutshell. Again, just bad teams stay bad, and I feel really bad for Joe Burrow.
So it doesn't seem like he's hurt long term. I will say that. It does seem like he got like a Charlie horse on his left calf, which I think is his plant leg. I'm not sure if he's a lefty or a righty, but yeah. I think he might actually be a lefty. He's
a righty. He's a righty. So and everybody knows the plant leg's more important, but I mean, that game is just like, listen, I could legitimately that game will be the one that when it's March and there's no football on, I'll be like, I'd really kill to watch Chargers Bengals week 1 right now.
Inject that in my veins.
When there's actual good games on, I have just no interest in ever watching that game because it was just not good. It was.
You get the one highlight though of Joe Burrow scampering up the middle of the field looking like Mr. Ohio basketball. That's a good one. That was an all-timer for the
awesome.
NFL season.
His first touchdown run was very similar to Clyde Edward-Hilaire's, so that was kind of cool to see. The two LSU guys.
I also just want to go ahead and toss this out there. If Tyrod Taylor continues to play like this, we're going to see Justin Herbert pretty soon.
Very soon. And I can't wait because I'm a big Herbert guy.
As was intended.
All right. Yes. So, all right. Those are all the games from today. Obviously, we'll recap the Monday night and the Sunday night games on our Wednesday show if they were good. The Sunday night game looks good so far. It's second quarter right now.
I was going to say, it's second quarter. Dak is currently scrambling up the middle. It's about 7:30 left in the game. It's 10-7 Los Angeles. Who do you guys have the rest of the way? This does not affect our official predictions that we made. But who do you have the rest of the way starting right now? Real quick so we can look back on Wednesday.
I'll stick with the Rams pick. I think the Rams are going to pull out this game.
Yeah, and I'm going to stick with my guns as well, Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm going to say that Dallas is probably going to come back and win this game. I will say that the Rams have looked good thus far, which is I do think that the Rams are going to be a good team this year. But there's your little if you're still listening, there's your little Sunday night preview to our Sunday night recap.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you guys. Great show. Really, really fun week 1. Hopefully week 2 is just as good. And make sure if you're listening on the podcast, whatever platform you're listening on, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching us on our Facebook page, hit that like button on 366 Sports. And we'll see you guys next time.
Love you guys.
See you.